All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Randy White, special guest on the Unwired Appalachian podcast. Pikeville head baseball coach as high school athletic director, Shane Simpkins. We got a lot of stuff coming on. Brad Allen may join us at some point. If not, I'm sure Shane can do a great job of filling in.
We'll see.
But we'll see if Brad joins in. You'll see it might look a little weird, but
We'll make it
We'll
work.
we'll make it work, exactly. So, a lot of stuff going on since, Brad's taken over as athletic director. He came in and kinda told us the rundown on what's going on. One of the early things going on right now that, you guys kinda implemented with Brad is this gala coming up. Just for people who don't know, just kinda talk about what this is, how the idea came about, and, how people can, check this out and, get him
Get him.
involved.
Yeah. So the big thing that when Coach Allen took over, he wanted to implement this. It's a fundraiser, obviously for us,
Mhm.
is what we're going to use it as. But it's also a night that we can kind of get people together and kind of tell them what it is that we're doing moving forward. So that's going to be a big part of it. There's going to be a silent auction. There's going to be a live auction. There's going to be, dinner and fellowship. Just a fun night for Pikeville Athletics. We've got a group in Focus Media has done a video, and kind of the theme for it is past, present, and future. We want to look at the past in Pikeville Athletics. We want to look at the future, and then we want to look at where we're going, and that's kind of what this night's going to be for. But it's going to be a way for us to raise some money to help our athletic programs. That's a big thing that when Coach Allen took over and we kind of revamped our athletic department, was taking on some of the burden of the fundraising and helping our athletic programs more with the uniforms and giving more money for that. And then also the amount of money that we give our programs from the school to help buy the equipment and different things. So those are things that we're trying to do as an athletic department to help our sports program. So this gala is going to be one of the things that is going to help us do that.
Yeah, with the gala, you think, a nice evening.
Right.
People can dress up
Yep.
and have fun. Is this a way to get like you mentioned, sponsors and people who donate? Is this a way of, getting them just together, letting them know the kids a little better, letting them know the staff a little better, and just kind of celebrating all things Pikeville, I guess?
It is. So we're also going to kind of unveil our new corporate sponsorships there at the gala. We're also going to have a table where if you haven't sponsored or you have in the past, that you're going to be able to renew those sponsorships or to join as a corporate sponsor. So that will be an option there that night as well. But like you said, it's just a way to get Pikeville people together,
Mhm.
and that's what we want. One of the things that we've talked about is doing some things with our athletic programs to bring in the alumni and to get the community involved. And obviously Pikeville has a rich tradition of sports and athletics,
Mhm.
and we want to bring more awareness to that. We also want to bring more awareness to the future of the things that we see going forward, ways that we can help and things that we need to make our athletic programs even better. Our facilities are top notch, our coaches are top notch, but you always got to look to grow to continue to be better because there's schools out there always nipping at your tail, and you got to keep getting better and keep moving forward. And that's kind of what we're doing. And the gala is going to give us a chance to get all of our corporate sponsors and people of the community, whether you're a corporate sponsor or not, it gives them a chance to come in and see what we're doing and to be a
Mhm.
part of it. And that's what we want. We want people to feel included and to enjoy coming to our athletic events.
Yeah, and when you keep talking about the corporate sponsor, say you're not a corporate sponsor, you're
Yeah.
just an individual, you want to donate
Yep.
or be a part of this and help raise money. How do you do that individually, I
So also at the table, we're going to be able to for donations, anybody can donate. But one of the things that we have done this year in looking at our sponsorships is we've created a maroon and white sponsor. That was one of the things that Coach Mack was big on implementing was
Mhm.
we want anybody to feel included. We want everybody to feel included. In the past, there's been kind of the low value and that was still kind of a high number.
Mhm.
And obviously in economic times right now, it's tough. It's tough to get out there and to pinch a dollar and help out your athletic programs. So we've created a way for anybody and everybody to be involved, whether you're a big corporate sponsor that donates 2,500 or 5,000 or whatever it may be, we now have one that goes from $50 up.
Yeah.
So, anybody can help if you want to. And again, whether you're a corporate sponsor or not, we still want you to come out and have a good night at the gala.
Mhm.
We just want all people included. And it's going to be a fun night. There's going to be really good food. There's going to be entertainment. There's going to be silent and live auctions. It's just going to be a fun night of fellowship and to be able to talk about where we are and where we're going.
Yeah, and just kinda talk about I'm sure it's probably for all sports,
Yes, it
but,
is. Yes.
just kinda talk about what that means, from cheerleading to
Yes.
baseball to football, basketball, on that there's so many sports now, and, it's important for every
Oh yeah.
program to be, included, I guess, right?
And it's exciting because we do have so many opportunities for our student athletes, or for our students to become involved in extracurriculars, and whether it's sports or drama or band or academics, whatever. That's the great thing about Pikeville is, it doesn't matter what you're involved in, be involved in something. But this for us is more towards the athletic side of it. But a lot of people don't realize, and I think Coach Allen talked about it when he was on the podcast with you the last time.
Mhm.
We've got a bowling team that's really, really good. That's new. I think this was our second year with bowling. We've got a really good archery program. Our track team just went and competed at the state tournament. It doesn't matter what sport it is, everything is expected and wants to be excellent. And that's the great thing about Pikeville is we're pretty good at everything we do.
Yeah, I've just seen the sheet that says Brian Milam is gonna be
Yeah.
see, if anybody knows Brian Milam, it's hard for me to give him props, but he's not around, so I can do it because he's not here. It's not to his face, I can give him props. Great storyteller.
Yes.
Just talk about, being able to sit down and share stories, hear Brian tell stories about Pikeville or whoever.
Yeah.
You could just get around and sit stories if you wanna
Oh
reminisce,
yeah.
maybe about the 80 some team
The
that won
88
the
team that's won a
Ye
football state championship. Yeah.
absolutely, just kinda talk about how important that is because, people like to talk about those things,
Oh
they
yeah.
like to remember the good times, and that also helps, get people encouraged for the future as well. Is that kinda why you
Yeah,
wanna do
it
stuff
is.
like this?
Brian being the MC, he's a mountain guy. You're probably more familiar with him on Sports Overtime. Everybody's seen his face and heard his voice there. So he was a guy that we wanted to get involved because he's an Eastern Kentucky mountain guy.
Mhm.
And like you said, he's a great storyteller. A lot of people know his face, and we thought nobody better to MC our first gala as somebody like him. And he was very gracious of the opportunity to do that. He jumped at it immediately and told us, yes, I'll make sure my schedule's clear for it. And what's really cool about this gala too is yes, it's athletics, but we've got some other people coming that, our state athletic commissioner, Julian Tackett's going to be there. Our commissioner of education is going to be there and Mr. Robbie Fletcher. So, it's going to be a really good night with some pretty state level influential people there. And we want to put our best foot forward for that. But like you said, we also want the people that were on teams in the 80s that won state championships to be able to come and tell their story and talk about the glory days, as people refer to them as, because ultimately those people laid the foundation for Pikeville athletics and set that bar of excellence for our current players to reach towards, and then also our young kids to strive towards. And that's a big part of any athletic program is those previous teams. So we want those guys to come and talk and be a part of our athletics now because they were the athletic programs that set the bar moving forward.
Yeah, it is. I saw Dusty Lane's name on
Yeah.
there, Jeff
A
Elkins,
lot of big
two,
guys.
local photographers, so, they do great jobs.
Mhm.
Why do you wanna do that as well to include that? I know a lot of times now people, they like to go to events, so they like the photos for their
Yeah.
social media or whatever. Why is that important for you guys to kinda include that stuff as well?
Well, and I think everybody too likes to capture those moments. If it's a fun and enjoyable moment, you want those moments captured, and those guys do a fantastic and amazing job. They're at all of our athletic events, and we wanted them to be a part of it because they're a face of Pipe athletics too. Yeah, they may not be on the sidelines coaching, or they may not be a player playing, but you see their face at all of our athletic events, and we want people to know the work that they do because
Mhm.
it doesn't go unnoticed to us. And when your kid's picture pops up on social media, it's taken by probably one of those two guys. So we want them to be a part of it, and we want people to know who they are because they're as much Pikeville athletic as the coach and the players. So again, we want that inclusion of everybody involved, everybody that has. From the biggest piece of the pie to the smallest piece of the pie, you're as much Pikeville athletics as anybody.
Yeah, and I think we've unless I missed anything, if you wanna go over anything that you think I might have missed about the gala, feel free right now. If not, we'll move on. I mean,
Yeah, so just to throw out the date, it's June 19th. It's going to be in the UPike HPE ballroom. UPike has been gracious enough to let us use that ballroom. It's going to be a really neat. It's kind of a business casual wear. We're telling people to wear their best maroon and white, whatever that may be, whether it's a three-piece suit or whether it's khaki shorts and a really nice polo, whatever it may be. So it's business casual. We want everybody to feel included again. We don't want it to feel like that black tie stuffy event. In that sense, we want that inclusion for everybody. So if you don't feel comfortable wearing the black tie, come in your khaki shorts and your best maroon and white. If you want to wear your three-piece suit, we love that too. So we want it to be for everybody. Again, it's going to be June 19th. It's going to start at 7. Dinner will probably start at 7:30. We've got some other neat news. Mia LaQuire is going to come and do a performance. She's a student at Pikeville High School, and she's a phenomenal singer songwriter. So she's going to come and provide some entertainment during dinner, and it's going to be a fun night for anybody and everybody, and that's what we want. And then again, obviously, we're hoping to raise some money. So come out and bring your wallets and things
yeah.
like that too. We love that too. But whether you bid on something or you donate, that's not the main goal. We just want the fellowship and everybody to have a good night.
Yeah, and it sounds like a great idea. But, you got some other big news as
We
well,
do.
sign-up days, and, why is that important to bring everybody together? Because, everybody's got different days that they have to get why's that so important for you guys to kinda get this done and out of the way before the new sports year starts?
Yeah, so we're doing an athletics day that morning. Actually, it's going to be the same day, Friday, June 19th, and it's going to start at 11:30. We're going to offer free physicals to all of our student athletes, and that's big because each year we have to do those physicals. We've got to get those forms in, and it's always tough to kind of chase those down. So we're offering that to our student athletes. Again, it's not necessarily mandatory that they do it that day, but again, we're giving them the option to come in. We've got a lot of support from the community, the doctors, the physicians here in town. They're going to come over. We're going to set the gym up as kind of a triage where we've got the curtains up, and they're going to be able to offer that service to our student athletes, which is awesome. We've also opened it up to our all of our coaches to have a table there, so it's kind of like a meet and greet.
Mhm.
There may be a student that doesn't necessarily know about your program that's interested in it. Well, now our coaches are going to be there. They're going to be able to talk to these student athletes that day and their parents too, just to give them some information about their program, which is big for us because again, we want kids involved, whether that's in athletics or whether it's in the drama program. We've got a great drama program. We've got a great band program. Whatever it is, we want our students to feel involved. So we've opened that up for our coaches to come in that morning, set up tables, you know, meet our student athletes and maybe draw some kids into your programs that may not have been interested before or not known about it. So it gives our students a chance to see all of the things that are being offered at Pikeville for them to get involved in.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Like you said, kids, maybe they played a different sport and were interested. Maybe they played it when they were younger.
Right.
And you just talk about how important that is having kids playing multiple sports because at Pikeville, you see a lot of kids playing a lot of different
Yeah.
things, whether it's track and field or baseball and football or basketball. Like, just kind of talk about how important that is for a small school.
Well, for us, it's incredibly important because you have to share those athletes. We just don't have the numbers within our school system like a 5 and 6A school does, where kids maybe just play one sport or two sports. And I think there's a lot to say about kids that I think it builds another part of that student athlete where you have to maximize your time and understand how to give to this program, but also still prepare for this program. So I think it makes our student athletes more well-rounded because they have to learn how to divvy their time and focus their times, but still, commit to school as well, because that's a big part and piece of that puzzle. So I think it helps our students in that sense. But one thing too in coming to Pikeville, this is year 8 here for me. What's been so phenomenal to see is how well the coaches get along and how well that we understand that you have to share those athletes. If you go to a football game, you're not just going to see the football coaches there. You're going to see the basketball coach there. You're going to see the soccer coach there. You're going to, we all, it's a family unit, and we all understand that. We all understand that we have to support each other because we're sharing those kids. And that's been awesome and refreshing for me in coming into this role. But Coach Mack has been phenomenal. Coach Justice, all of our program coaches are phenomenal at understanding that. And that's huge for each program because if you have a kid that's a great football player, he can also be a great basketball player and a great baseball player too. So, that's awesome to see, and all of our coaches are phenomenal with that.
Anything I might have missed about athletics day that, you wanna
No,
touch on?
again, this is our first year of doing it. We're very excited and again, very appreciative of the community and the doctors and the physicians that are helping out. And it's something that we're able to offer our student athletes that maybe other schools don't. And we get that done and out of the way. And it's something less that the parents don't have to worry about. And also, we also want to meet our parents are welcome to come those days. Um, we have some things going on for the parents while the kids are going through the physical part of it. There's going to be some coaches there to talk about like the recruiting process at the collegiate level and those types of things. So there's going to be some informative things for the parents as well that day. And then also us as coaches get to meet and talk to the parents and again try to kind of recruit kids to play those sports as well. So it's exciting times for Pikeville. And again, that's going to be a big day, Friday, June 19th. 11:30 to 1, I think, is gonna be the athletics day, and then the maroon and white gala that night.
Yeah, and, baseball season just, wrapped
It
up, so
did.
we'll talk some baseball because state tournament's starting this
Yeah.
week, and I know you wanna be down there, but, as we were talking earlier, you had a really young team, you had a great senior leader, but once a couple of injuries start, that kinda changed your season a little bit. Just kinda talk about the season overall, and once those injuries started, with KT and some of these other
Oh, yeah.
guys, how it kind of affected the season.
Yeah, I mean, and again, you go back to at a small school, it those 1 or 2 injuries hurt you a whole lot more.
Mhm.
If you're at a 5 or 6A school, you don't necessarily feel those as much. But for us being, I think we had 19 guys on the roster, 20 guys on the roster. I think at one point we were down 5 guys. And that's a fourth of your roster when you look at it that way. And not having the JV programs and things like that where you just kind of pull kids up and they step into those roles. So it was hard for us to overcome some of those. But again, we had guys step in and get some playing time and some experience that's going to be invaluable for them moving forward. So we're very excited. Again, and we always whether we have injuries or not, we're still, we still hold them to a high standard. We want them to perform and we want to win. And again, the ball didn't bounce our way this year, and that's part of it. And it's like I told our guys, the more that you play, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. That's part of it. And two, we talk to our guys a lot. You got to learn how to lose to enjoy the winning as well. So it gives us a little fuel for the fire when we move into or into the off season. And like you said, we had one senior who was, it's we're never going to replace him. He's been
Yes.
with us since he was in seventh grade, pitched in the All A State tournament as an eighth grader, and we're not going to ever replace him. And we've got some guys that we've got to move forward and to help fill his void when he leaves. But he was phenomenal. Bash was amazing, and we're going to miss him tremendously. But we have a bright future. We do. We've got a lot of young guys that we're really excited. Our middle school program had a really good year this year, so a lot to look forward to with Bible baseball.
Yeah, just talk about some of these young guys that, stepped into roles and
Yeah,
maybe you got to see some stuff from like a kid like say Cooper Scott,
yeah,
got thrown into the fire, whether
yeah.
he was ready or not. He got thrown in there and got some good, valuable, reps in there.
Oh
Just talk
yeah.
about how important that is to build for the future. It's so because sometimes this might be a blessing in disguise in the long run. You feel bad for Bash because you guys had a shot. You were
Right.
right there with everybody else, especially coming back from what Georgia. I think
Yeah,
you
we were
played
9-2 coming
nine and
back from
two.
Georgia. A lot of excitement building around the program and had beat a Boyd County team that was a top 10 team in the state, went to Johnson Central in game 2 and shut them out. There was some excitement building and you hated for him because, what could have been.
Yes,
And
yes.
again, you can play the shoulda, coulda, woulda all you want to. Again, it was the cards we were dealt, and we went after it, and we had a really good opportunity, and we felt good going into the regional tournament. It just didn't go our way. But like you said, at one point, I think in Northern Kentucky, we finished a game with a seventh grader, two eighth graders, four freshmen, a sophomore, and a senior on the field. And you look out there and you're playing Simon Kent, who's a 6A school, and it's like,
Mhm,
we're playing our what would be their JV against a varsity team, and we were competitive. So a lot of guys got some invaluable experience. Cooper, we were looking to rely on him a lot on the mound. Well, he had to move into the outfield and play that role too. Isaiah Coleman started a lot of games in center field.
yes.
Our outfield, we didn't have We had Caden Newsom in right. He was a sophomore, and then we went freshman in center and a freshman in left field. And that was pretty much 3/4 of our season that those guys got that time out there. So, you get those young early struggles with them, but they started to figure it out towards the end, and we saw a lot of good things. So, again, a lot of excitement moving forward. We got a lot coming back, and a lot of guys some experience that they may have not otherwise gotten. So we're really excited about where we are and moving forward.
Yeah, and speaking about moving forward, you say Gage Burgett's coming back
Yeah.
next season, Caden Thompson should be healthy,
Mhm.
hopefully. 2 really good pieces right there to be leaders with a
Yeah.
bunch of young kids. Talk about how exciting that is having, a couple guys who are leaders like that with a bunch of young talent around them.
Yeah, we do. Like you said, Gage had a phenomenal year. He started to kind of figure some things out at the plate. I think he finished right at 500 on the year, and you hear those numbers, and people are like, "Ah, yeah, we know how stats work." Like our stats are, we're really hard on our stats side of it. So I mean, it was a legit. He hit 500 with a pretty tough schedule. So we're excited, that he's starting to kind of feel and figure some of those things out. And then, like you said, a guy like KT and Grayson, as they've played in the middle school ranks, they were heavily relied on, and we were heavily relying on them as freshmen this year. So to have those guys that experience and coming back and knowing that those guys have kind of had their feet in the fire and we're going to hit the ground running next year is huge. And then, like you said, you get guys like a Cooper Scott some time in the outfield. You know what you're going to get with him on the mound. Now we know what we can get with him in the outfield and the plate. And like Isaiah, we had told him at the first of the year we're going to rely on you heavily on the mound. Well, we figured out that he's a really good center fielder and he's going to be able to hit for us too. So, the experience that they got in the field versus what they get at the plate too, seeing the level of pitching that they saw is invaluable. And we're excited. Those guys were producing, and like you said, we threw them to the fire and said, "Hey, let's go figure it out." So it's really promising looking forward to see what they're able to do and where we're able to go for the next couple of years for sure.
Yeah, this is the time you know, where most people, like most sports like basketball, they get 30 games in the summer.
Mhm.
Baseball is a little different at the high school level. Your guys probably go out on their own
Yeah.
travel team or AAU team or whatever they're playing. Just kind of talk about how important that is for those guys to get some reps on their own and maybe come back with some new skills or improved on what they're already doing well.
Yeah, and that's kinda shifted a lot from even when I was in school and playing. You had your local legion teams where you played, kinda Babe Ruth, and that's all changed more towards the travel type stuff, which the recruiting aspect of it has changed, and
Mhm.
and you can't blame these college coaches when they can go to a venue and see 2 or 300 kids play in a week at one venue. Why would you not go there and recruit? So we push our kids to go out and play on those travel teams, because one, it's a high level of baseball, and we know that. So they're going to see really high level arms, which is what we are, expecting them to see because they're going to see it in the regular season for us. So that's a big aspect of it. But two, they start to make a name for themselves on that college recruiting trail. And we've had some guys. Isaac Duty is pitching in college. Dylan Thompson just pitched in the
Yes.
College World Series, Junior College World Series, and had a great outing. So we've been very fortunate. Braden Hall is playing at a top 5 junior college in the country. So we're really excited, but that's things that we want our kids to expect. We want them to want to go to those places. So that travel ball is a place where they're going to start to build their name there, and they see really good competition, which helps us coming back in the fall and then into the spring.
Yeah, last couple of things, I'll let you go. Just, baseball, we mentioned a baseball state tournament. How exciting is that as a coach to go down there and experience that? I know, you've been down there and have played some really good
Oh yeah.
games down there. How exciting is that to go down to the state tournament? I mean, that's why everybody's
Oh
playing
yeah.
for it. You got to be there to have a chance to win it.
Yeah.
Just, from your experiences, how fun is that?
It is. It's super fun, and one of the things too, and it's kind of a downfall, you can say, but it's also one of the huge upsides of Kentucky high school athletics
Mhm.
is we don't class baseball. So yeah, you look at it from one aspect and being a small school and going down and competing, it's tougher, just because it is what it is, the number of bodies and the those types of things. But that's also the fun part about it when you get down there if you're able to knock off one of those top dogs and move forward. So, I mean, we had a couple years there where we went and we had Trinity on the ropes. They were a top 25 team in the country that year, and we had every opportunity, so it's fun to be in those games, and that's why we play the type of schedule we play because we have to prepare to be able to go and compete with those guys when it counts, and our guys, we never want our guys to step on the field and be intimidated by anybody, so we'll go play anybody, anywhere, anytime, just to prepare them for those opportunities in the postseason. And Coach Hall is a really close friend of mine. I actually talked to him today, and we wish them nothing but the best. And that's the thing that we talk about as coaches, that camaraderie. Yes, we're fierce competitors when we're on the field, but we also want our teams, whoever it is, to go down and represent the 15th region well. So of course we're backing him and we're rooting for him. And I told him today, hey, if there's any way I can help scout or do anything like that, let me know. And we want to be there to help support those guys. Obviously, we want it to be us every single year,
Yeah.
but if it's not, we're rooting for those guys too, and we want them to do well. So we're excited for Coach Hall and his team this year, and next year we're coming for them, and we want that title back on our head.
Your answer made me give you an extra question now. So
Eh,
I said a couple more that I've got two. This is so, but you mentioned, Kentucky being one of the states, no classes. I always think that is so unique. I think it's makes us
Mhm.
stand apart basketball,
Oh
baseball,
yeah,
softball. Does that make region tournaments even more
oh
important?
yeah,
More fierce rivalries, districts even mean
yeah,
more? Because to me, when you go down to the region tournament last week, big
oh
crowds,
yeah.
people are into these games. Just talk about how unique that makes those feel because the state tournament, there's only one team.
Mm,
That's it. So talk about how important that is and how it makes those region tournaments, a little bit more intense.
it is, and something exciting moving forward. It's been voted in that we're going to be doing a super region now, and I
Mhm.
think that's awesome because I think it gives us the opportunity every year to send our best team to the state tournament, which is important. And that's one of the things we talked about as coaches when we were in that room and we were meeting with people. And ultimately, first and foremost, we want our own teams to be there. We want our own teams to win, but we also want to send our best team. So that's important for us as a region, and I think that's going to give us that opportunity moving forward. And it's going to be set up like the state tournament. It's going to be over 2 weeks, so you're going to start to kind of get a feel for what that's like. But again, our region is super competitive, and you saw it again this year. The games were really close, one run games, and even the first round games were really close. So our region is competitive, and that's awesome moving forward. I look for that to keep that trend to keep trending. But it does start to prepare you for that state tournament. And when you get down there, it doesn't get any easier, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But it's exciting and our guys understand that. We talk about it a lot through the year and ultimately, we build for the all A in the kind of the first middle part of our season. And then once that's over, we turn the page and we're looking straight towards that regional tournament because ultimately year in, year out, that's our goal. We want to win the regional tournament and we want to get to the state tournament. Once you get there, anything can happen. And that's what we talk to our guys about. We got to get there first. And again, winning our region is not hard. Winning any region, it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's super hard. It's super competitive. And again, the way it's set up, you've got to be strategic. And sometimes you got to take chances. Like for us, we may not have the pitching depth to play 3 games in
Mhm.
3 days. So you have to take a chance here or there. And that's the fun part of coaching it is
Yes.
this the strategy that goes into it that a lot of people may not see or understand, but that's the fun part of it for me. And all these guys that coach their teams are the same way. They're strategizing, and that's the fun part, the cat and mouse back and forth, and seeing how this team's going to play it, and then you may have to adjust to it,
Mhm.
and that's the fun part. And again, I'm close with a lot of our coaches, and it's fun to compete, and we're
Yes.
fierce competitors.
Yes.
The old adage, when you step across the white lines, we're not friends, but as soon as the game's over, we can hug and be buddies again. And it's neat to see that camaraderie within our region. And again, to be able to root for those guys if your team doesn't win, like I said, Coach Hall, we wish that, his staff and his players nothing but the best moving forward this week.
Yeah, and one thing I'll piggyback off of your answer. I think it's so much fun seeing kids in pressure
Oh yeah.
situations step up as
Hmm.
well, seeing who, steps up to the challenge because sometimes it's a kid who you might not ever think
Heck
it
yeah.
is. But last thing, and just kind of talk about the future seems bright for Pikeville Athletics. It seems like you guys with Brad Allen's really got a good plan together. What can people expect from Pikeville Athletics? Is it, always trying to think of something new,
Yeah.
trying to further the programs and just kinda talk about, the future for Pikeville Athletics.
It's super exciting. Like I said, even programs that aren't necessarily mainstream programs like our bowling and our archery and things like that, you know, again, when you're at Pikeville, you're expected to be the best and you're expected to achieve those levels. And that's awesome. And that's one of the reasons why I came here and wanted to come here is because year in, year out, that should be the expectation is to win those regions or to win your, your highest level opportunities. And that's what we expect at Pikeville and our fan bases expect that. And that's awesome. We're excited to be able to put those products out there to do that. And again, just moving forward with Pikeville Athletics, I can't say enough about our coaching staffs. I think
Mhm.
we have the best coaching staffs across the board, across the state. They work tirelessly and they work hard. And like you said, our facilities are top notch. And again, one of the reasons we're doing the gala and doing some of the things that we're doing to try to raise money is because you're always looking for that next opportunity to better our
Mhm.
programs, regardless of what that is. Our gym needs some upgrades for our student athletes to become the best they can be. Our press boxes need those are the things that people not necessarily think about,
Mhm.
but again, it's all part of those athletic programs of being the best. We want those for our athletic programs. Our kids that bowl, we want them to have the best balls and those opportunities as well. And again, it's exciting to be a Pikeville Panther, and the new athletic department is, we're following in the footsteps of some, you know, people that have done a really great job.
Mhm.
And we're excited for that opportunity. And again, Coach Allen is our district and I kind of to do a lot with our high school, but we have Nathan Mullins and Jonah Justice who are have kind of taken over our middle school and our elementary programs. And that's a big part of it. And a lot of people don't realize that's what builds your programs is those elementary programs, those middle school programs, those feeder programs are ultimately that way when they come to us, if they have the basics now, we can work on the intricate parts of the games. So that's critical for the success of our high school athletic programs is those feeder programs. And those guys have hit the ground running and have a lot of exciting ideas. So we're excited to kind of unveil those and see the direction that those go. And again, it's exciting to be a Pikeville Panther and it's exciting to be a part of it.
Unless I missed something that you wanna add.
No, we appreciate the opportunity. And like I said, June 19th, the gala will start the doors will open at 7. You can call the school. You can email athletics at pikeville.kyschools.us to get more information. Message us on the Facebook page. But we're super excited, for that night and then the athletics day for our parents to get to hear some things if their kids are interested in the college or the college route. Those
Mhm.
what it takes and the kind of the processes that go into that. So we're excited to be able to offer that to our parents. And again, ultimately we are always looking to better our programs and that's what we're going to continue to do and we're excited to be able to do that.
All right, for Shane Simpkins, Brad Allen somewhere.
Yeah,
We'll
he was
see him
supposed to be here,
sometimes.
but we'll get him on the next one.
We'll check
And
in with Brad sometime. But Corey Vance behind the scenes. I'm Randy White, Coach Shane Simpkins. Check us out next week on Wired Appalachians. See all of our social medias, all that stuff. We'll be back next week. Thanks so much, Coach. Appreciate
appreciate
you.
you.